Shkirch for joining us.
All right.
Yes. I'm recording the shir now before I'm getting on to the plane, and as soon as we finish, we're going to the airport. So Bez Hashem Yisbarach, when you're watching it, hopefully we'll be in the air to Artzena Kedosha. Hopefully everyone will be going together with Mashiach Tzidkenu Al Kamfei Neshorim. Okay. I gave parrots copies for every single shir. And I put these nice little cards to show which is for which shir. I don't want this trip to be that there's a hefsek in the learning. I want it to be aderabah, when I'll be by the cave at Rambam, that we can connect, and not only that we won't have a diminished in Limud Torah, but hopefully the Avida Eretz Yisrael will help us increase in Limud Torah. Shenichnas arda marvin besimcha vein simcha elo Limud Torah. Like I said a few times, we're in the middle of a Geshmak Sugya. We're finishing off a Machlokas that Rabbeinu Tam and Goinim to Sefer Shabbos, and it's at a calendar, and I don't want to stop. The Sicha that we're learning tonight is to do with the Parsha, but it also has to do with the Sugya that we're learning. I know it's a little bit of it's a Tifa Sicha, but I think it's Kedai to not gloss over just because it's a difficult Sicha, and it's still Kedai to learn it. And Adarabah, sometimes a difficult Toidas, when you connect to it, is when the juice comes out and it's really, really sweet. We'll read a little bit inside, because we're doing a little bit of a recording, so this way you have the copies and you could follow with. It says Zoches Yom Shabbos L'Katshei. Zoches Yom Shabbos L'Katshei. The Mechilta says Zoches V'Shom Shneim Never B'Divrei Echad. Machalalom Asiyum It's B'Yom Shabbos Shnei Chavosim Shneim Never B'Divrei Echad. Erev Sachicha Yavam Yavei Allah Shneim Never B'Divrei Echad. Lo Yisro B'Shat Zogedilim Tatzalach Shneim Never B'Divrei Echad. Mashi Ev Shel Adam Le'Makein. A human being cannot do it. So Zoche V'Shomer is B'Divrei Echad, and it's something which is a human being cannot do such a thing. And the Eibishter did it, and there were several things which the Eibishter did, b'dibur echad dafke, and for a reason. And we learn halachas from each one of them. And Vaiter is a mamshich in the Mechilta. He continues in the Mechilta. Zoche v'shama, zoche malafana v'shamar malachodev. Mekam amru, mesifim achayla lakodesh, moshel ze'ev shetodev malafana v'malachodev. That Zacher v'Shamar, the word Zacher means before Shabbos, Shamar after Shabbos. You're supposed to stretch the Shabbos. Say this is the Shabbos. You have to stretch it a little to the right and a little to the left. You should be Moisif Mechayel ala Kodesh, just like a Ze'ev, which is Toidev Melafanav Malachedev, just like a wolf who, when anyone gets close to him, Melafanav Malachedev, he bites here, he bites there, from his right and from his left. Okay. So, for two questions. One is what's the connection in the Mechilta of Zocher v'Shama b'Divrei Echad to the fact that Zocher Malafona v'Shama Malachodev? That's question number one. And the second question is that L'choida, the Gemara, we have a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah Daf Tes and Pei Aleph in Yuma. We have many Gemaras that tell us that there is an obligation to be Moisef Mechayel ala Kodesh. And those Gemaras never bring Zocher v'Shamar. So what's going on over here? Reading Ois Beis. Wenn der Verstehen behegt dem Abir in Drosha Samachilta, Zocher Malafana Malachodev. Von dem, wo die Mechilta lernt Ois Dadim, Moisef Mechayel ala Kodesh from the Pasuk, Zocher is Yom Shabbos, is mashma das adim bikir bei Shabbos. Darf man verstehen, the dim is ifim achel la kodesh. Is doch gleich, also ich bei Yom Kippur, Yom Tov, v'loshna breisa b'gemara, kol mokim shenem shavus misifim achel la kodesh. So, what's going on over here? Why is the Mechilta bringing a different limud than the Gemara? The Gemara, we learned the Gemara in the other day, the Gemara in Yuma, Rosh Hashanah, it says, extra pasuk, me'erev ad erev tishbeshu shabbatchem. So we learned that you have to stretch Yom Kippur on the right and on the left. And from the extra tishbeshu shabbatchem, we learned that every Yom Tov and also Shabbos, you have to stretch from the right and to the left. You have to be moise mechel ala kodesh, like the Gemara says, kol makam shem meshus mesef mechel ala kodesh. So we learn it from the pasuk me'erev ad be'erev tishbeshu shabbatchem. So why do we also need the pasuk zacher? Mechanet sagen that the limud is not an asmachta be'alma from pasuk. It's hard to say that the Mechilta meant an asmachta be'alma. Why? Warum die Drosche Mechilta wird gebracht zwischen andere Drosches, weil sie nicht kein asmachta be'alma. Man lernt abdienen min ha-teure. For example, von dem was Sache beschamer schnell im Nemer b'diber echen, lernt man ab, als Noshim Chayavis b'kiddush yem dvar teure, weil kol sheyeshna b'shmiri yeshna b'zechira. Because Shomer v'Zacher were b'dibur echad, so we say that even though women are usually potter from time-sensitive mitzvahs, but because they're obligated in Shomer, which is a lot that say they're also chayiv b'Zacher, so they're chayiv in Kiddush hayayim. From nevus machal Allah ma'isyu mitzvah shabbos shnei chavasim ervis eish tzachich yavam yavela elotil b'shatim gdilam taslach b'dibur echad ne'emru. We learn halachas, hakravis tamid b'Shabbos yibum. Is the old drushes that are mina toira. To say that this Mechilta is an asmachta b'alma, it doesn't make sense. The Mechilta is telling you dinim that are mina toira. The drush shalachas and the Mechilta is shetehei zerich rebech b'Shabbos shim yisman alacha mana yofetim etakna l'shem Shabbos kedashami, and the drush of Reb Yitzchak lo yitiyamona kederach shachenim moinim Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, L'Timoyin L'Shem Shabbos, Echa b'Shabbos, Sheni b'Shabbos, Shlisha b'Shabbos. But das the din, as Chir Shabbos darf sein, nicht nur b'Yom Shabbos, nur die ganze Woche. Is L'das Rabban, mitzvah min ha-Torah. And these are all the mudim that we're learning dinim min ha-Torah. Is a durche Godel zu sagen, as the droshe, Sache mal aufana v'shomer mal achirav, das kommt rein zu wischen der droshe, soll sein, an Asmachta be'alma. To say that the Mechilta learns like the Gemara. Me'erev ad erev tishbu shabbatchem, we learned that Yom Kippur you gotta stretch, and also Yom Tov, and also Shabbos. And Zoche v'shomer is an asmachta be'alma. But it doesn't sound that way. It sounds like the Mechilta is learning drashas min ha-Torah. And in the look, if you want to look in the Orah 11, he said, how about flipping it and say that the Gemara is an asmachta be'alma? It doesn't sound that way in the Gemara either, that the Gemara thinks that their drasha, or that the Mechilta thinks that the drasha in the Gemara is an asmachta be'alma. So the Rebbe wants to say a chiddush that b'chlal we say afusha machloikas lemafshina. True, he brings out a 15 mekeves mishnah, some machloikas the Bavli and the Mechilta, and if you have no choice, you would say it. But if you could get away with it, there's a klal that afusha plukta lemafshina. The truth is, even the Rambam that holds that there's no thing as I suffer mechel kodesh lagabi issa malacha, but lagabi Yom Kippur, he does hold that you have to add time before and after in the fasting. So to say that the Mechilta doesn't hold of that, so no Rishon ever mentioned such a shita even. So better, the Rebbe says, is to say like this. The Mechilta also learns like the Gemara, Me'erev ad erev tishbu shabbatchem, that you're moise mechel ala kodesh. And there is an extra limud that the Mechilta has, an extra moiredike chidush that the Mechilta came up with. An extra moiredike chidush. I'm skipping now to Ois Dalet. The Asbora Bazeh. The Edim Mesifim Mechel ala Kodesh came along and Avderayefan. There's 3 ways of learning Mesifim Mechel ala Kodesh. There's 3 ways of learning it. Siz do a mitzvah der Odom as darf of sich mekabel sein at the Sefes Shel Shabbos. A person has an obligation to take upon himself at the Sefes Shabbos. Nit zu tun dan kein Malacha, not to do any Malacha. Oy begewen, of the Tzibah, nit mekabel gewen at the Sefes Meger, Toim Malacha bis onib von Zman Shabbos ben Hashmoshes. He has an mitzvah say to add time. If he didn't listen, okay, he did, but he still. If he wasn't makabel to Sefer Shabbos, he's allowed to do malacha. Then there is A second way, I feel when the mensch is nit mekabel of sich to Sefer Shabbos, is if im chal der Yisro meleche bal korche. The says Torah begasat to Tamalacha zman mesuim far Shabbos. The Torah gave a certain zman, maybe 4 minutes, 2 minutes, a minute and a half, maybe 59 minutes. That there is a zman mesuyim that the Torah says you have no choice. The tzad shav in the beis der fanem in das beide seine chiyuv gavre. Nor dem gufa seinen zwei fanem. The Yisro of the gavre is mit Tes-Zayin Kabbalah. Either the Yisro is because I accepted it, or even if I like it or not, here it comes, the Shabbos, the Yisro Malach is on me because the Eibishter said. These are the two ways. The dritte Eufen is, the Yisaf Mechel HaKodesh kommt für Shabbos allein, besignen a Yedua, the Cheftze für Shabbos is Moisem Malafon of Malachim. The Shabbos, the Cheftze gets spread, the Kedusha Shabbos wird nimshich Malafon of Malachim, v'meilas der Odom demelt also Basis Malachim. A Shabbos gets spread, and the Kedusha Shabbos goes to the right, goes to the left, and the Kedusha spreads an hour on the right, an hour on the left, an hour as you're going in, an hour as you're going out, and then mainly you're not allowed to do Malacha. Look at Order 23 and 24. Lahor, the B'shuchan Archad Marazokin, Simen, Reish Samachalav Kud Esachin and Sivkot and Gimel, Machalak Ben Samach Lachashei Chamamish, Avshala Kiblo, Yarim, Kubala Vayim, Domar Sinai. That in the time of Ben Hashmoshes, even if a person was not Mekabel, it is Mekubal Vayim Marasina. The Ben Hashmoshes of Achal Tesefes Balkorch, Afam Uyoim, Shenke Lifnez Tola Bekabalas Adam. So that's like the difference of the first and second way. That the Alter Rebbe has both, that in Ben Hashmoshes you don't have to be Mekabel. It's Mekubal Vayim Marasina. And earlier than Ben Hashmoshes you have to be Mekabel. 24. It's basically finding Rishonim Daliyel Yeshloimar Gam Besignan Acher. To Sefer Shabbos Eloirak Mitzvah or Yisr Malach Al Adam Kim Gam Ger Kedusha. There's also a gather in Kedusha in it. Ela Shabazeh Gufa Yesh Beise Fanim. In Tzorach LeKabbalah Atzma Kedusha Shecholam Eleo. Aber Gam Leifen Zeh Yesh Loimer Shesh Chidush Beifen HaGimel Shebefnim Ki Lebeze I Fanim Anal Enis Pashas the Kedusha Shabbos. Kim din Torah sheyesh kedusha imal yedei kabbalas adam memel al zman asomach l'Shabbos. There's an Indian of kedusha, but it's not mamish kedusha for Shabbos. There is either the person that makes a kedusha in that zman, an hour before and after Shabbos, or it goes automatically. Mashenken loifen hagimel that it's mamish the kedusha of Shabbos. Turn the page. Hey, that's the chidush from the Mechilta. The din from Sefer Machel Al HaKodesh. The Shitas HaBrais Hashas is not a tziv of an Odom. Kol makom shem shvus mit Sefer Machel Al HaKodesh is a din of shvisas Odom. Darf shoyv sein from Malacha. Oich von der Chayla Samach LaShabbos. Loy the Brais it's a chiv on the person. Loy the Mechilta is by Shabbos do a tifre inyan into Sefer Shabbos Gufa. As moisum fall from Malachedev. Und das is Musbar and the Moshel was werd gebracht. The Mechilta Moshel is eif shetoyr of Malachedev. That the Shabbos itself gets spread out. Punkt v'azev, just like a wolf, was Eddie's toiv melafon of Malach, and he eats it up. It becomes part of him. It becomes damo basa kipsore. As oich, the Yisaf Mechel Al HaKodesh is an oifen, the Shabbos guf is toiv melafon of Malach. The Shabbos itself eats up an hour before, an hour and after, 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. It eats up from both sides. Look in Order 24. Which is very nice. Order 24, he says that we find, he actually sends back to Order 20, in the Sefer Menoides HaMoer, to the Ri al Nakwa. So he says that what's up shot in the Mechilta Zocher v'Shomer Melfon Malachrav, Mashal Adova Alma Adova Doimer, that there was a lion in the field and people are very scared. People go away from the right and the left. It's not like they stay a mile to the right and a mile to the left when there's a vicious lion out there. And he brings Or Meshalem from Adam Adrashim, a person that keeps that's guarding a paradise. So if you guard it inside, if a ganav comes in, he grabs a few fruits. But if you make a buffer zone, of space and you guard it there, so even if you have to fight with the ganav, but he can never get any fruits. The same thing with it brings by the Levim, that you need to have a migrash around the cities to protect the cities. So the Rebbe says that is all in the Gavra. When you want to say a mashal, that the person, like the story that I told recently in Shul, there was a lady that came to a Judaic store, a Yidina, and she came in and she said, I want to have a siddur. So this is years ago, 100 years ago. And Svarim were really expensive. And she picks up a siddur that has all kinds of pirushim. Ayin aleph pirushim around it. So the seller says, what do you need to have such a big... You could read the commentaries. She said, I'll tell you the truth, I can't read the commentaries. But I want to daven. And I'm planning to use the siddur for 100 years. Over time, the sides will crumple. So if I have a siddur, the words of the siddur is going to crumple like this. The commentaries will crumple, but the words in the siddur will stay whole. So one way of looking at Mesefes Mechel LaKodesh, based on the Meshalim that are brought in different Midrashim, or the Menorahs and Moir thinks even in the Mechilta, that when you're scared of the lion, you stand a mile, people run a mile to the right and a mile to the left. When you want to make sure the Ganav doesn't take the fruits of the field, you make a buffer zone on the right and a buffer zone on the left. If you want to chas v'sholem that a Yid shouldn't be Mechal Shabbos, so the Eibush said, be moisiv an hour to the right and an hour to the left, and you'll never chas v'sholem be Mechal Shabbos. But the Rebbe is learning that the Pshat in the Mechilta is not that way. That is not the Pshat in the Mechilta. The Pshat in the Mechilta is that the etzem, the lion is eating up on the right and the left. Oh, here's the Zev. The wolf is eating up on the right and the wolf is eating up to the left. Part of the wolf. Shabbos itself eats up an hour before, an hour after, and it becomes a mamish part of Shabbos. And now we understand why the Gemara, who learns this sort of din in the Gavra, learns it from the pasuk, "V'nisam es nafshosechem et tisha b'chodesh le'erev, me'erev ad erev tishbesu shabbatchem." It's me'erev, it's b'tisha. It's not called Asiri. It's called Tisha. Elamai, there's a mitzvah to be moisev, Mechayel HaKodesh, a little before and a little after. It's in the Gavra. It's Yisro Malacha. But the Mechilta says, no, it's Zocher v'Shomer. Zocher is Yom Shabbos L'Katche. Shomer is Yom Shabbos L'Katche. It's a din in Shabbos itself. It's a din in Shabbos itself. And so that's beautiful. And now we understand in the Mechilta itself, why is the difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov? Because why is it only Shabbos we say Zocher is Yom Shabbos? In other words, the Rebbe is learning that everyone learns like the Gemara. Everyone learns as a chiyuv the Gavra to be moist to Mechayel HaKodesh, either with Kabbalah, without a Kabbalah. If the Yebet Dibur, not the Dibur, there's a few footnotes here, and we'll deal with it in a later Shir Bli Neder. And hopefully, when I come back, I'll print out. There's a Ritva and a Chelek Yoyev, and the Rebbe has Moiridik Chidushim here that really is going to help us out on issues that we already decided a certain way, but I realized that everyone says otherwise. Bottom line is, what is going on with the Mechilta? Everyone holds of the Braisa that there's a chiyuv for the Gavra to be moisiv, Mechayel HaKodesh, not to do malacha before Yom Kippur, after Yom Kippur, before Yom Tov, after Yom Tov, before Shabbos, after Shabbos. But the Mechilta adds that only on Shabbos there's an extra thing, which is Zocher v'Shamar, that they're add to the right and the left, not just the Gavra, but also the Chefza. And there's an Afkamina. And we'll talk about that in a minute, what the nafkamina is. What's the difference in Svara between Shabbos and Yom Tov? Because Shabbos, that we know, is not Toleh in the Yid, it's Mekat Shevekayma. So therefore, all you do, you do nothing. Shabbos spreads itself from both sides. But Yom Tov, which is Yisro inu Mekat Shelazmanim, so it doesn't spread itself from both sides. The Yid adds to the right and adds to the left. And that's why, according to the Mechilta, There is a general limud that we learn from the pasuk Me'erev Tishbu Shabbatchem, which is called Malkim Shvus, is you have to add Mechel Kodesh, which includes every Yom Tov Yom Kippur and Shabbos. But Shabbos is an extra thing because Shabbos is a Mekatshe V'Kaima that it could spread itself from the right and the left. Take a tiny break, and we'll come straight back. Okay, tiny break. Let's continue. Summarize what we had. There is the Shas that learns Tosefes Shabbos Yom Tov Yom Kippur from the pasuk Me'erev Ad Erev Tishbu Shabbatchem, and there's the Mechilta that the Rebbe says learns like the Shas but has also a limit that on Shabbos the Zochas Yom Shabbos, special thing for Shabbos. What's the difference? On the thing that we all have in common, the Bavli and the Mechilta, that Shabbos, Yom Tov, Yom Kippur, that it's a mitzvah for the person to add Malfan of Lacher. And over there you could say the mashal that, like the Siddur with Ayin Aleph Pirushim, the lion that people are scared and they stay a mile away from the right and a mile from the left. And then there is a special thing from the Mechilta, which we learn from the Zachas Yom Shabbos, or special din in Shabbos, that Shabbos itself spreads itself like a Zev, Malafonov, Malacherev. The Rebbe says there might be a few nafkaminas. Look in Oizvav. The Chiluk in the limit anal zwischen the Mechilta and the Gemara is Negel Allah, and the nafkamina is Elamaisa. Lo the Gemara the Chiyuf, Moitz Mechila Kodesh the Zelba B'chol Makom Shem Meshvus. It says ain't see where the B'chol Makom Shem Meshvus Zalamaisa Zayin in the Shvisa Mechila Kodesh. Was der far wer the Dimas of Mechila Kodesh by Yom Kippur and Shabbos and Yom Tov gelernt von ein Pasuk is the Zelba Tzivui. According to the Gemara, all three things, Shabbos, Yom Kippur, Yom Tov, it's the same thing. Mashenkel the Mechilta is that the dim for the Sefer Shabbos and in Shabbos. Mashenkel the Sefer Yom Kippur Yom Tov is by Fnach. But the Mechilta Shabbos is something unique. Therefore comes the rest of Nafkamin al-Allah. Loit Shittas Hashas is the Sefer Shabbos nor a mitzvah say. The says, as over the bench, Tuta Malach and the Zmanat Sefes. Zieh noch sein Kabbalah Sefes oder ich on the Kabbalah like the Tzvei Svaras Anal. If he already does Makabal Shabbos, or according to the Tzvara or opinion that you don't have to have like any Kabbalah altogether, if he does, what did he violate by doing Malacha? And mitzvah say, because it says Tishbesu Shabbatchem, the mitzvah from Tishbesu Shabbatchem, Kol Makan Shenam Shvuz Meisifin. So you're not going to get Malchus. He's not going to bring a Karmachatas for that. He's over mitzvah say. Mashen can loy the Mechilta Shabbos Gufa. Vertnes Pashem Malafan of Malachedev kommt aus as the Isa Malacha in the Zman Tesefes is verbunden euch mit der Lav loy Tasa Kol Malacha was da mit Zeit Kedusha Shabbos. It's mamish a lav. He would get punished like a lav in Shabbos. It's more than Malchus. And if it's a b'shegig, it's a karm chatos. It's a lav. In Order 31, he says that the Svara would say that there's another difference. If you say like the Mechilta, Lachari, you can make Kiddush in that Zman. You can eat matzah in that Zman. B'shegig, if you say it's only a mitzvah on the person, then, okay, you're not allowed to malacha, but you can't eat matzah at that time, you can't eat more at that time, you can't make Kiddush at that time. Now, really, there's a big shakla b'taya about this. Sinishta zay poshet. Let's read Order 31. There's a big discussion. They go on him, who berash bebrachis, Tav Chavzayin, Beis Yosef, Sof Sameresh Samach Zayin, Erechaim Sof Sameresh Tzaddik Aleph, Shulchan Berezaken Sameresh Samach Zayin. It's brought a lot like a Pesach Sameresh Samach Zayin. Lacher lebeze fahren der Leel Shu, Chayves Gaver b'Shvis Samalacha, Kapashas Lashna Shas, Ene Shech Lamitzes Diyam Shabbos. Well, that is a life in the Nal, Order 24. B'Shenkel Lechidush Mechilta. Nizeh Nifzek Alocha b'Shulchan Aruch the Berezaken Kebereisa Diyuma, Mekomo Kem Hu V'Adei Shemuta Lekadosh L'Kayim Mitzvahs Suda Shabbos Bazman Tesefes. Muchach shein ze tole bepluktes a shas mechilte. The Rebbe says l'chayr is taka pella. The Alter Rebbe brings halacha the Brais and Yuma. That's only sort of a din in the gavra to be ma'isa mechila kaddish, and yet he brings an opinion of Shulchan Aruch that in the Zman Tesefes you could make kiddush. Fully Shloimer, we could squeeze it in that even that we said in order 24 that even if it's the Sefes on the Gavra, but he the Gavra made a kedusha. Maybe it's not mamish kedusha Shabbos, but it's kedusha and it's kedusha enough to make kiddush in it. Okay. Let's turn the page. Zayin. The Rebbe says maybe we'd say Basvara. Maybe we'll say a svara that the Bavli also holds the mechilta, but he holds you have to have both. Just like, for example, I'm giving an example. It's not in the Sicha. The din is that bechor is kodesh merech, but still there's a mitzvah to announce when the shepsala, when the sheep had a baby, to announce that this is kodesh, even though you can't add or subtract from that kedusha. So there is zev is toiv melfanam acher, but also it's a mitzvah for you to announce it. In order 24, he says l'choyri yishlim shezu kavonas aritva. There's a ritva that sounds that a person has to be mekabelet. The Rebbe says that maybe that's what he meant as a tesefes dover, but not that that's critical. That without your kabbalah, everyone that holds that you have to be mekabel bringing this ritva. But Mitzvah Shem, when we get the special sheet about this later in the week, we'll deal with this. It's a big chiddush that the Rebbe has to neutralize kilo the ritva, that there isn't a ritva that says that you have to be fetish be makabel, and for sure not bedibu. Anyway, the Rebbe says that he doesn't think that it makes sense to say such a svara, that according to the Gemara, both are true. Yeah, the Tesefes and the Chefts and also in the Gavre. For three reasons. Aleph, as the Yisrof Mechiluk Kodesh besteht in Shvisa Malacha und nicht in der Lakatche von den Tesefes, when the Gemara says that it's shvus, so it's mashma that it's only in the Gavra, not in the Chefza. Number two, we said that according to the Gemara, Shabbos, Yom Tov, and Yom Kippur is the same, but the Chacham told it's not exactly the same. And number three, we see the Pois can bring the Brais, a mitzvah semen ater l'hoisa machir l'kodesh, and they say it's only a mitzvah say, and it's not allowed. So we could say that everyone agrees to the Gemara that there's a Isa and a Gavra, but the Mechilta added that there's also a Chefza, and that's like a Ze'ev. And that now Ches. Let's continue Ches. The Rebbe says now we understand. Now we understand the connection of the Mechilta, everything the Mechilta is trying to say. Mechilta is trying to say like this. Just like Lagabe Mechelala Mois Yumas or Beyom Shabbos, you have to bring it says Mechelala Mois Yumas Yom Shabbos Nechvotz. What is it trying to say? Mechilta is trying to say a chiddush. It's not the pshat the mitzvah say bring a korban is duich pushes away Shabbos. It doesn't push away Shabbos. Shabbos itself demands that you should bring, the Kedusha Shabbos demands you should bring two karbonas, atomit shel shachar, atomit shel ben arbaim. So same thing over here. Shabbos itself is being netoisef melafonav v'malacherav, and that's the chidush of the Mechilta. So therefore the Mechilta brings it with this thing of b'dibur echad nemer. And now later in those tests that I will talk about that this is, and maybe another time we'll finish off the Sicha more befrotus, that this is really the pshat, that this is something Mashiach Shalom. This special thing is a special thing the Eibishter made that this chiddush that the Sefer Shabbos. So the Rebbe brings that the Tzemach Tzedek brings, and I'll look now in Ois Yud Aleph, in page 1 of Ois Yud Aleph, that Tzemach Tzedek verbindet der Moshel Ozev Sheterem Melafanav Malacherav from the Mechilta when they get to Sefer Shabbos in Pasuk Binyamin Zev Toirev. That also by the Mizbeach it says Ma Zev Toirev Kach Mizbeach Toirev as a Karabonis. Tzemach Tzedek says that this is Bemis Adin and Nigla. That there's a chiddush that by the Mizbeach if you brought on something which is not kosher korban, but once it's on, you're not allowed to take it off, and it becomes a chelek of a korban. So the same thing Shabbos is that it's like a zeiv. It's even though it's chayil, it becomes memes a chelek of Shabbos. Okay, I'm just going to be makatzer. This really connects, besides the Parsha, with Mish, because this thing of Zeiv Yiter, if Rashi says, was said for the Shevet Binyamin. And Rashi says that he's like a Zeiv, that he eats up, and he's like a Zeiv. And Rashi says that the La'erev Chalak Shalol, Mordechai ve'Esther, Shehem Binyamin, Chalkas Shlol Homan. So I want to add to this something that seems to me a bit of a poshut. What's the chiddush that Beis Haman? Chassidus says, what's the big deal? The Beis Haman Nasati Lester Amalka. It's the union of his hapche. That even though Yidna Golos had already, the Beis Haman turned into be the base of Mordechai Yehudi. It ties in very well with the chiddush of the Mechilta. The Mechilta says that Shabbos itself makes that some days of the Choil, some moments of the Choil become Kedusha like Kedusha of Shabbos. And that's the Chiddush of Purim, of Binyamin, Shevet Binyamin, and Mordechai Tzadik, that even though they were still in Golus, is Beis Haman Nasati Lester Amalka. Rebbe shall help in the schus of our learning about Tesafas Mechayla LaKodesh, and by the schus of doing this thing of Tesafas Mechayla LaKodesh, that in Mitzvah Hashem, we should see that the Haman of our generation, and there's many of them, that the Beis Haman, Nasati La'ester Amalka, we should see it Kipshutoi, and we should see it happening, Kipshutoi, Bevias Mashiach Tzidkenu, take it from Yad Mamash. Good night.
Amen. Amen.